Hey, everybody. Thanks for downloading this episode of the Black and Gold podcast brought to you each and every week by Boonshine Brewing Company. We got a teaser. After our last collab with Dissolver, we knew we had to run it back one more time. Be on the lookout for Until the Void Screams Back, a brand new West Coast Pilsner. So, what is a West Coast Pilsner? Think West Coast IPA vibes with an extra crisp edge. It's got a lighter body, dialed down hop intensity for easy drinking, but still brings that firm bitterness and bold hop character you love. Clean, crushable, loud. We can't wait to see you try this one. Stay tuned. I gotta tell you, this is Until the Void Screams Back. This speaking of screaming, it just screams to me early 2000s like emo alt rock. It just, it's got that kind of branding, you know what I'm saying? Like that's what I'm feeling from this one, Charles, from like a musical vibe.
Yeah, I can see that there. It does sound delicious, like almost all moonshine brews do. And there's a West Coast is obviously a coast, and that makes great beer. No, I'm just kidding. There are great ingredients on that side of the world. So yeah, go try it out, everyone. I think it'll be great.
Where is Dissolver? Where are they? Do you know? Do you have any idea?
I thought that's what you said, and you're breaking up a little bit. But Culver is, I think, pretty sure it's pretty local, right? I want to say, I'm guessing. I think it's close. I think is it North Carolina? I'm pretty sure it's in North Carolina.
Yeah,
Are you looking it up?
I'm seeing. Yeah, I'm seeing. Of course, Asheville, Durham. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's Asheville. It's Asheville.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, but very good. All right,
There's
so I'm your
there's so
host of the
there's
Black.
so many nowadays. I'm
Yeah,
saying there's
there
so
is.
many nowadays, so many different micros, and I know they've been around a while, but it just wasn't coming to.
Yeah, no, I didn't recognize either, but it's a cool brand. It's a cool brand. So I'm your host, of the Black and Gold Podcast. Alex Johnson with me as always, the world's most famous App State fan. He is Big C, and it's raining, and I don't think we have recorded an episode while it's raining in a long time. So you know what that means. If it's raining, we have internet issues. So if there's a little bit of a delay, a little bit of talking over, it's not what we don't mean to do it. We're not trying to do it on purpose, but it does seem like we're some hiccups, which whatever. Recording here on a Wednesday evening, recording on a night that Jeffrey Springs is pitching for the Athletics. He made it 5 1/3, 8 hits, 2 runs, 4 strikeouts. The Athletics are currently up 3-2, so he's not going to get a loss for this. It's a pretty good outing. It's a good modern outing getting into the 6th inning, Charles. So I just had that up. It's going to be a very baseball heavy episode because that's basically what we got now. So we're excited to jump into that. So anyway, world's most famous App State fan, Big C. Are you ready to talk a little bit? Talk a little baseball.
Yeah, I'm ready to talk some baseball. The home stretch of the Sun Belt season, like we talked a little.
Uh-oh. Do we have a delay? Can you hear me?
And making sure their midweek games are fruitful and not not one where you lose a game you don't need to lose, and then put things in jeopardy. So you'll see across the country there will be games people will cancel random games. They're like, well, and they may be highly favored, like good teams versus bad teams. There's like, you know what? We don't like where our pitching is right now. We don't know who, we could get in the hole. And this could be the difference between us uh, being on the bubble or, by losing or by staying squarely on it by not playing. So there's a lot of that jockeying. I think it's I'm a little indifferent toward it all. It's like if you're good, then go out there and play, prove it, and make people not doubt, your resume, your schedule, your conference, and all those things.
Yeah. Yeah. Before we get too far into Olympic sports here, just want to shout out our sponsors. Styles Roofing, for those of you in the greater Charlotte area, 704-842-1874 is the number you can call or text Appalachian State alumnus Billy Styles to see if you need to get your roof replaced or repaired. And I'm just don't waste your time. They're the best in the business when it comes to roofs in your area. I wish they had more locations. I wish they worked all over the Southeast, but it's just for you folks in the greater Charlotte area. And for those of you in North and South Carolina, there is Community One Insurance. Zach Ligon and Matthew Johnson are Appalachian State alumni from the Walker College of Business. They're insurance dorks who are going to help you out. They're going to help you save money and get better service to go with it. And that could be your home, auto, business, commercial. It doesn't matter. If you need insurance, those are the people you need to reach out to. And again, you want to save some money, get some better service. 828-455-2335 is the number you can call or text. And again, that's North and South Carolina. Save a little money. And then check out their website, communityoneInsurance.com. And I'll go ahead and do this, Charles. Let's go ahead and knock out all the sponsors. Mountaineer Mania, 497 West King Street. It's a Boone staple. So as folks like myself and so many others listening to this show right now, the weather's getting nice. Kids are getting out of school. You're going to start making those trips to the high country. You know you're going to do it. Check out Mountaineer Mania. Go buy some merch. Go buy some stuff. Go buy some gear because it's the best. And they have a really awesome selection of apparel for what you need and also some outdoor stuff too. So for those of you that are picnicking and tailgating and hiking, they got some gear for you as well. And hats. Shout out to the hats. And then when you're done at Mountaineer Mania, you can just keep walking down King Street and check out Blue Deer Cookies, downtown Boone, downtown Boy Rock, and West Jefferson. Best ice cream, best cookies in the high country, best coffee as well. Don't forget the coffee. And we thank them for sponsoring the show, all of our sponsors, Charles. Yeah, so there you go. So let's talk softball real quick. Season's over. Go.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't ready for that. We did not make the tournament. That's disappointing. You got me off guard, AJ.
Yeah, I know I did.
That. But we didn't win the games that we needed to win in that final weekend. That's what it came down to. We did not have the record. We played Texas State, and we needed to do more than just win one. We fell 2-4 on Thursday, and on Friday we won 13-12, and then got run rolled 15-1 in the Friday nightcap, which was at 3:30 in the afternoon. Unfortunate end to the season for softball. A lot more promise, but at the beginning of the season, lots of wins, but it just goes to show like how tough the league is in this next sports. It's there's a lot of growth that was made this year, and there's a lot more that can still be made. We tied with Coastal at 8-16, but we lost the series to them. So tiebreaker womp. And Coastal moves on and plays in the tournament.
Man, I tell you what, this definitely has been a bit of a streaky season. It's crazy that you lose twice as many conference games as you win, and you're still 7 games over 500. So it's been an interesting season. I think it's been great. I mean, we went through a little bit of a lull there for a few years, and then Coach Jones is obviously doing a really good job. So we'll just have to see what happens in next year, just because it's a tough conference, and we'll have to just keep an eye out. Baseball, obviously, folks, last week we talked about how we just were on this crazy streak. We were like a 7-game win streak, winning the games we needed to win, sweeping James Madison, winning our midweek, sweeping Georgia Southern, which we've never done, which is crazy. We really needed a strong performance down at Troy. Now, Troy didn't really, they haven't had maybe the season that we've been used to the last several years, but they're still a solid program, still having a solid season. And we go down there and take the series. We talk all the time on the show about like if you take 2 of 3 on the road, it's a big deal, and it was a big deal. We take the first game of the doubleheader. Obviously, there was weather issues on Friday, so the 2 o'clock game went 13-7, and then um, win the second game on Saturday 5-0. So we took care of the weekend already, wrapped up in one day, which was great. And I did get a chance to watch a good bit of the game on Sunday, and it just got away from us. Troy ended up having a big inning. Bats went a little quiet on us, and just kind of one of those things. But Charles, still very proud of this group. I think Southern Miss gained some ground. I think they leapfrogged us in second place, but still in a really good position to wrap things up for this weekend for the seniors and Louisiana coming to town.
Yeah, I mean, we did what we needed to do, and that's go on the road and get a series win. And we did that. I would say in adversity because we're down there a day before, and the rain, or the weather that was threatening, forced us to a Saturday doubleheader. Which I think this is our first situation where that's occurred this year. Historically, not great in doubleheaders, and historically, doubleheaders can usually split. So you're looking at Sunday, or the third game of the series, whenever they end up playing one, is like that's kind of going to be a rubber match most of the time. And this first game was wild. I mean, the 13-7 box score looks like we controlled the game, but we didn't. Not at all. Troy strikes first in the first inning. We answer back in the second, and they get a few runs in the third, and so it stayed 5-3. Through the middle innings until the seventh inning. And the seventh inning is where things got weird for Troy. They couldn't get us out. An absolute ridiculous situation. There was a fly ball into left field, and Troy bobbled it, but it looked like he caught it. So don't get us wrong, like the Troy cameras are not the greatest. And in a lot of these stadiums we have to in Sun Belt, like you get better camera work than others. So Drew DuPont was the one who reached on that play, and he got to second base. They review it. The call on the field was no catch, and it never really looked like the guy had it. And I'm going through a lot of situations to say this is how this inning started. A routine, what would be you could consider fly ball, and Sun called it, didn't quite catch it, get it out of his glove, didn't quite bring it down, whatever it was, it just bobbled it long enough. There was no true angle that says anything but the call on the field stood. So DuPont gets a hustle fielder's choice double, so to speak, on a 2-strike count. And next thing you know, Tommy Walker walks. Charlie Evans gets the bunt down and advances. And so this is a 2-5 game. Gets the bunt down. So our first out of the inning was a sack bunt. All right. We get the guys over, and then top of the order, Stephen Smith gets the single, 2-run score, and we're in business. So this is when Troy makes a pitching change. So they make a pitching change after a weird situation, the sack bunt. But I think Charlie Evans, I think he kind of got on because I think the fielder shorts. I think they, if I remember, they tried to throw to second or something like that to keep the double play in order. And the guy had it was not a tough play, if I'm remembering correctly. So there's a lot that happened in this inning. So Troy changes pitchers. We lay down another bunt, and there we go. So now we got runners back over again. Ethan Puig homers. Evans scores. Stephen Smith scores. And so all of a sudden it's 7-5, and we're like, all right, we got the lead. This is great. Bases are clear, right? Cam Miller walks, advances second on a wild pitch. Joseph Zamora goes there and doubles. He gets Miller in. Another Troy pitching change. It's 8-5. And you've got Joseph Zamora on second base, right? Seward singles up the middle. Zamora scores, makes it 9-5. Drew DuPont is now back up to bat. He started this inning, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
He singles through the right side on a 2-0 pitch and gets Seward to second. Tommy Walker walks again. I mean, if anybody's going to walk twice, it might as well be the catcher, and it might as well have the last name Walker. So it's 9-5. The bases are loaded. Here comes another Troy pitching change. What happens next? Charlie Evans, who's also batted again in this inning, walks, and we walk one in. Next thing that happens, Steven Smith, who's on his second bat of the inning, doubles down the left field line, clears the bags, and in the most unfortunate situation, our second out is on an out at home plate. All right, so how have we given our first out inning? We gave up on a sac bunt. The second one was out at home plate, and they confirmed it. We tried to go again. Luff singles to center. Steven Smith was out at was out at home. So like of the 3 outs in the inning, 2 of them were at home plate, and 1 was a sac, and we still scored 11 runs. Like,
it's just, yeah.
So we gave the inning away. We gave them 1 out, and then just didn't make the right calls on. And one of those was true out. The first one was not. We should have scored another run. But that's how game 1 went. Is an 11-run 7th inning, which was pretty incredible considering like Troy has had problems with us a couple times in tournaments in the past where we just like remember a couple tournaments ago the baseball account tweeted it, and we scored like 10 in the 7th in a game. We were like down ridiculous, like we were going to lose that game. It was we were not going to play another game, and then like CJ Boyd goes yard and all types of crazy stuff happens, and we scored a bunch of runs, and then we've done it another time as well. But essentially, that's what the first game of the series, how it went down, and then so the second game was perfection. It was Gage Peterson. It was a shutout. It was 3 total hits from Troy. Peterson goes 7, 6 Ks, 1 walk. He gave up all 3 hits. Max Tramontana finishes off the deal, facing 7 batters in 2 innings, and we get the 5-0 shutout. But then, like you said, AJ, the Sunday game, we just could not get the right base hits at the right time. We stranded a lot of runners, and then it just seemed like Troy finally figured it out, and we just had a stretch of replacing pitchers with dirty bags, and not everybody had a great day. But for the weekend, fantastic. You got to love taking a series from Troy for the first time ever. We've done that. Take a series from Troy.
It's so interesting hearing Barry McKnight on the ESPN Plus.
Oh God,
because he's been on the show.
Yeah,
and he's got such a distinct voice. You know,
well,
I love it. I tell my kids, I'm like, that guy was on the show. Yeah, yeah. Score 1, Men of Troy. Yeah, he's really good. I mean, he is. I mean, I'm not. I mean, he's good at what he does.
Every play that Troy makes is like a spectacular throw. What smart base running. Just waited on his pitch.
Yeah.
Like, oh boy.
Yeah.
He's got to do the thing.
I mean, he's good at it. You know, I mean, yeah. David Jackson wishes he sounded that elegant back in the day. You know, that elegant, that polished. No, it's.
You know what I can hear him saying right now? You don't want me to sound elegant.
No, because we know his limitations. You know, we know that. We know what he can and can't do. Um, but so Louisiana, it looks like, just kind of looking ahead here, Louisiana has a really solid regular season record, 30-19, very similar to ours. However, there are a few spots behind us in the conference standings. That's always going to be a tough matchup. I feel like, oddly enough, I think in years recent, we've actually played well down there, but they'll be coming up here. I don't know what the weather's going to be. I think the rain's going to clear out by the time this weekend rolls around. But this is it. This is the last homestand of the season before we head down the following weekend down to Atlanta. Seems we always play well down there. But yeah, any insight on Cajun baseball, Charles? At
So
all?
yeah, they have warmed up. Like you said, they have an overall, what is it, 30-19 record. 22 of those
Yeah.
wins at home, 8-11 on the road, 12-12 in conference play. So, and they've got a lot of that work done at home and a lot of that work done in non-conference play. But they are 8-2 in their last 10 games. That's a positive for them. Their RPI is in the danger zone. So they played New Orleans UNO on Tuesday, who only had 20 wins coming into that game. Their RPI was in the 200s. They lost in 10 innings, 6-9 at home. So everyone in Cajun land is like, that's a dagger as far as RPI is concerned. They dropped 10 spots and went from like 44 to 54. And so they know they got to come up here. And if they have any hopes of an at-large, they have to take care of business this weekend. Now, playing Coastal next weekend in Conway will help their RPI, but Coastal has slipped off a little bit. They just lost to a mediocre Clemson team this past midweek, and so their RPI is down to 22. Not exactly in a great position for hosting. So Coastal will be hungry. They got to take care of their own business to see if they can host a regional. So it really comes down to a lot of pressure on Louisiana on the road, where they haven't been great, and coming up to the mountains where, yes, the weather will be nice, but it'll be like perfect graduation weather to remind all those students why they came to App State. And that's because it's going to be in the 40s in the morning all weekend.
Yeah.
Back to actual spring weather and not the April heat that we had.
Yeah.
But they're in Louisiana's last conference road series. They took 2 or 3 from Arkansas State. They lost the series at Troy, and they lost the series at James Madison and others. So that's going kind of far back. But recently, they haven't really played a lot of the best competition. They did sweep Georgia State last week. That's why they're where they are. But these midweeks have been playing teams like New Orleans and Southern and Nichols and Grambling State, and that's just not really going to do it. Now, Louisiana kind of got back on the radar at the beginning of April when they took 2 or 3 from Southern Miss, but those are 2 teams that really rely on pitching and are not like have big offenses, but we know what they're made of. So, I mean, I like to think that we're the favorites coming into this weekend, just based on past performance. That's kind of hard to say, but both teams need a series win.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. Thursday, graduation, baseball, sunshine. It'll be a full weekend in the high country. Do we have anything else baseball related to discuss?
Not really. I mean, I can go in depth in all the teams that have to play or yet to play, but we're sitting in third in the conference standings. We are a game behind Southern Miss, and we are a game above South Alabama, who just swept Texas State. So they gained some ground. Troy lost ground. Louisiana is 3 games back. So this is how big this series is that they know they can topple us perhaps with a great weekend and put us in the hole on a tiebreaker, which is what's really going to be the biggest part of this weekend is where these teams fall as far as tiebreakers and as far as like who wins what series and who gets to be between the third and the sixth seeds and can play one lesser game. We're in a good spot, but we need to stay in that good spot, and we need to protect the beeve, as they used to say. We need to take care of some business and put ourselves in position just in case Southern Miss falters. You never know. It's right there. There's nothing that says you can't make up 2 games with 6 to go. There's still a possibility, and that would certainly give us a better opponent in the first round than where we sit right now.
Yep. Did you see where I'm just looking at the standings here, and Georgia State is down there towards the bottom? Not as bad as Georgia Southern, but I mean they're down there. Did you see Georgia Southern extended Charlie Cobb?
Georgia State?
That's what I meant. Georgia State.
I did.
I
want to say that I did.
How?
But I want to say that, like,
how are you doing that though?
Maybe I missed it too.
They were a basketball school. That's what they were. That's what they're known for. And I know they started their football program to do whatever they alleged need for football or whatever. And he ruined another basketball program. He's ruined another one. Like it's amazing that guy has a job. But anyway, I just saw that recently, and I'm like, I just don't know how this guy keeps getting.
So it was
keeps being employed.
2-year extension. Is that what I'm reading?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So it's a 2-year extension through 2028, which basically means his contract was up this year, right? Or by June 30th or something like that, I would imagine.
Yeah. I mean, who is like? I just want to know, like, from an industry standpoint, who are they bidding against to like try to keep him? You know, I guess you don't want to like the devil you know versus don't, but I don't know, man. It's beyond me. I can't believe, man. So Doug Gillen's first year was 15, so this is his 11th year. Charlie Cobb's been gone for 12 years. We had that year of Beasley as the interim. Man, that's wild. Hey, there's some other like industry related things here, just real quick before we wrap up.
Yeah, of course.
What was it? The Football Coaches Committee or somebody recommends a 2014 playoff. Did you see that?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
We could sit here and say, well, we like it, except for, for certain teams, it's not great. Like, it's great for the teams who think they can play their way into a 2014 field in the last month of the season. But what does it do to the teams that are, quote unquote, guaranteed one of these bids, and they decide to, quote unquote, like rest people or not play the stars or have, because
not put everything on the playbook.
Yeah, part of this is like, hey, conference championship games are going away, and honestly, outside of like the SEC and the Big Ten, like I don't think those games really do a lot. Maybe the Big 12 like kind of gets up for a conference championship game. But if it's at a neutral site, then it kind of just, it doesn't really bring it for, the G5 schools. I know that, Sun Belts is on campus, but it's kind of a tough deal. It really is. You don't have a lot of fans who go to those games based off the timing because they're not thinking about it. I don't know if it actually makes money for the conferences, except for the big ones, right? But I'll be curious to see, what would be the makeup of this. I think we mentioned months ago, whatever it was, that like the schedule needs to be backed up. We don't need to go into the spring semester at some of these schools to play a fall sport because you're just not going to have elite players who are going to play, and they're going to transfer, and you won't have the product that you had when football really matters, which is like October, November. It certainly will. People will watch it like crazy. There's no question about that. But what the makeup really comes down to is like if this is just a way to get more SEC and Big Ten and ACC or whoever else, just P4 teams into a bracket so you can make them play each other and people go. I don't know if that really does it. Now, the exciting part is the on-campus games. I think the expansion of that will look, you get an opportunity to see your team play again, and it's in the playoff. Like, yeah, people are going to go to that. So, like, those first round games are probably better than the second round games. But what does the makeup of those second round games look like? From a standpoint of, are these bowl games? Are these off campus? Are they? Are you going to have to go to a home game? Are you lucky and you win, and then you're like, oh my gosh, we're in the XYZ Bowl, and now we got to go spend more money the next week and go over here. So I'm curious on the longevity of it is like a fan attendance, but I know that's not what this is about. No. It's about people watching it on TV. And so, people will absolutely engulf themselves in this, especially if we can get like matchups and good games. But if we don't have that, then people might think, maybe we took this too far. But if you invite people who have rewarding seasons and you have qualifications for those rewarding seasons, then it's great. You're going to have a year where maybe there will be 3 or 4 G5 type level teams who have had great seasons and should be rewarded over an 8-4 SEC team. But if people aren't going to watch, then are they going to get in? No. Right? Because, they could probably compete better with someone else, some SEC school, as far as like on a roster basis. But is this about rewarding good football teams or good football seasons? No. And I don't know if it is. I don't think it is. And it may be the way that they're trying to squeeze more out, and just like, hey, let's, it could be that these big guys in the P4 are like, look at these blowouts. We need more of these so we can break away. So we can show them that these are 2 different playing fields.
They can do that with the TV ratings, though. They can say nobody, like if you, they can do that with, there's no way that, if you looked, I don't know what the ratings are. It would be really interesting to know. Who did JMU play? They played Oregon, right? In the first game or whatever. Yeah. I bet if you stack those first games up, there's be no doubt in my mind that JMU is the lowest rated, and I think that's what they can use. Are you still against the concept of a? Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we still want to make the regular season matter, then you have those opportunities to play, scheduled P4 games. But we'll just have to see what shakes out, because I think they have a way of like predicting what's going to happen. They know what's going to happen, and that's why they're pushing toward this. After so many years of like 4 is plenty, like it took forever to get from none to 4. And then we stuck at 4 for the longest time, and everybody complained about Team 5. And then they're complaining about Team 13. And they'll complain about Team 25,
Yeah. Doesn't that kind of show that like you don't need more than 4 though? Has the best team really not won every year in the college football playoff?
I think it has. But it'll be further interesting to see how much the NIL part of it remains something that impacts how a team finishes at the end of the year. Because I think Miami was a good football team. They just didn't have like a bunch of mid-20-year-olds on their team like Indiana did. And that was the big difference, is that it was the youth. Certainly had the skills, certainly had the players, certainly had the potential. But Indiana just had men on their team.
Yeah, and they executed. They did a good job. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like a dead horse at this point. Like we keep saying, like they're gonna do whatever is best for the TV networks. You think about what TV networks want, what's good for them, and that's what's going to happen. I mean, we haven't deviated from that ever in the whole industry. Like, there's never been a decision made, and if there is one, somebody tell me. There has been a decision made about the sport of college football that has gone against the interests of the TV networks. Like, that has not helped them. Like, for me, the purity of the sport would be, you finish the season on New Year's. That's when it's done. And you play at most an 8-team playoff at most, and you go from there. And you stop diluting this stuff, because by having 24 teams playoff, you are marginalizing games in the regular season that, football's already a scarce sport. It's already a scarce season. You only play 12 games, and you're just bloating it for TV games. That's what they want. They don't really care about the quality of the product as much as how much of it there is, because there's a ton of money. You just said it. Everyone's going to watch it. But there has not been a decision made about college football and new rules and developments that has not directly impacted positively TV networks or conferences or whatever. And that is just and the G5 will always be marginalized. There's not the only thing the G5 really had for a long time was early signing day. That's really the only thing that was beneficial to the G5s to go ahead and sign their guys. Go ahead and do it. Go ahead and get it over with. And they even that's not even really a thing anymore because of the other things we talk about on here all the time. But yeah, so yeah, we'll have a 2014 playoff, and it'll be, the season will be over by the Super Bowl. And anyway, it'll be interesting. Conference championship games will go away. That'll happen.
Yeah, that's going to be part of it. And there's Army Navy talk, and honestly, I think he just the big part of that really needs to come to play for this to make it happen is you got to back up the season a week. That's the only way it gets done. That you back it up a week, you create more games at the end, you eliminate the conference championship games. That some of them it's a big deal, but Notre Dame didn't play. Last year they decided not to play. When does that happen for I think what they were scared of is that a team will decide that it's not worth playing in a conference championship game. We're not going to put on a good show. And they want to get ahead of that so that they can say, well, that's not the prize anymore like it used to be. And and when you give more teams a chance at the big thing at the end, when that say, well, you're maybe you're not the best team you've ever been, or maybe you're 9-3 or 10-2, but you had something to shoot for. Hey, but we could still win our conference title because we won a division. It doesn't mean that we are a championship contender. But now, look, there will be more contenders just by numbers. Realistically, you're not going to sit here and say 24 teams have a chance to win a conference or a national title.
And they don't.
No, they don't. About 6 do. But it depends on how the bracket shakes out too. I honestly think that matters a lot more now that you look at matchups, and that's why you have upsets and March Madness. It's not about hey, you got matched up against a team that shoots the three well and y'all can't defend the three well, and boy, you got a great seed line and all this, but really you just got a bad matchup. You could go beat 20 other teams in the first round, but you just drew the wrong one. And sometimes that'll be it. You'll say, well, this Tennessee team could beat the brakes off this Washington team, but guess what? They just couldn't get past a team that was matched up against them that they were bad at defending them. Let's say that Tennessee can't stop the run, and they sit there and go play Tulane. Oh, well, guess what Tulane's going to do? They're going to run the ball, and they're going to find ways to beat you. In a normal situation, they would have no chance of beating a team that was just halfway good at running the ball. But you match up some weaknesses and strengths, and all of a sudden you have chaos. And I think that's what people will show up for is the story. I think that is what most of this is about, is chasing a story that everyone can get behind. But one game isn't enough. You got to like go and win two to really grab people's attention. And that's why basketball on a weekend, when you play on a Thursday and a Saturday, man, people get hype about it. And they're like, oh, they got 4 or 5 more days to think about their next matchup.
Yeah. In basketball, the basketball tournament is superior in that you can play more games in a short period of time.
Correct.
That's why the NCAA tournament's the best. That's why it's better at what it does than football is trying to do. Football can't replicate this at the top level. And again, they just want the TV slots. It's just, what really sucks is, like, I could sit there, and you could too, obviously. I could sit there and tell you why the 2015 Camellia Bowl was really important. I can tell you that. I sit there and explain that in great detail, why that win was so meaningful. And we all had goosebumps and tears in our eyes at the end of that game for the Camellia Bowl.
Right.
And now we're taking, right now, like, the media and everybody that produces content and has skin in the game and the performance of the TV ratings, they're trying to get you to believe that if you're not in the playoffs, then you're irrelevant. No, like, you don't matter. And you're really cannibalizing yourself, because there's so many teams that have great seasons that end with a bowl game that may not seem like a big deal, like nationally or whatever, but it was a good matchup. It was a solid bowl game. You had a great year. You didn't play in the national championship game, but that doesn't mean you didn't have a great year. Like, no one's going to convince me that 2000 and we'll just go bowl era, 14 had a fun finish. No one can tell me that the years 2015 through 21 weren't great. Those were great years. And I could tell you something meaningful about how we finished and why those bowl games were important and all that. And now it's, if you don't make the playoff, you're a loser. And that's all that matters, is the playoff. And I just think that there's something, I don't know, man, there's something societally, like, wrong with that. Like, not being able to just say, hey, yeah, we weren't in the championship game, but okay, we weren't in the championship game. We played this other thing and we were good at it and we won it or we lost it or whatever. There are 5, 6, 7 teams that legitimately have a chance to play and win the national championship game. 12th ranked BYU doesn't. It's not going to win. You know, 18th ranked. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. 18th ranked.
Virginia,
Washington, or Virginia, or whatever. They're not going to win a national championship. They're not going to. But they have an opportunity. They could be playing in these other in bowl games that you. Anyway, I don't know. I mean, I just it's a frustrating thing that I feel like you and I, because we do this podcast and we're a different type of fan, a little crazy, but like, there is success and things to be proud of, even if you're not playing for your tier's national championship. I mean, there's a lot to be proud of, and I think we're just losing that, which is a huge bummer to me.
There will be some rich get richer situations here where, let's say 5 years from now, and it's let's say after 5 years of having a 2014 playoff, and you're going to have schools putting up banners for college football playoff, like they would for NCAA tournament, in their basketball gyms, and saying, well, we were a second round team or a final 16 or a final 8 or whatever they want to call it. Because I think the bowls don't want to go away. But if you get to a point where you're playing, a lot of these games, like, our team's going to be like, well, we won 3 bowl games, like, I don't know. Some of these bowls will go away, and it'll be very curious to see, like, will the sponsors pony up money to put on, like, a Birmingham Bowl between App and Georgia Southern when,
ESPN and everybody else is telling them that bowl sucks and it doesn't matter. And it's not like before all this that everyone was saying, oh no, every bowl is the most important. But there was kind of like I don't know, when you put something out of reach. Yeah, served a purpose. Yeah, it
It
served a
served a
purpose.
purpose
This
to
is
be a
fun. Come have
billboard
fun.
for the games coming up. Like
Yeah.
it's like, hey, don't forget, college football is, it is programming between the regular season ending and the playoff season starting. It's
Yeah.
something to put on the TV. And if your school's
Yeah.
playing, you're probably gonna watch.
Yeah, and it's something for the fans too. And that's the thing, like the fan bases need, like, and that's why destinations are important too. Like, and they did a great job trying to hype like the Montgomerys, and it's easy to hype New Orleans, and come here and have a good time and have fun. And as the gap gets wider, and the perception of fans is that we didn't make we weren't the one G5 team out of 68 G5 teams. We weren't the one. Oh well, then I don't care. That's dangerous. Like, that's a dangerous attitude to have. Like, if you win 6, 7, if you win 8 games in this era as a G5 program, you should be really, really proud of that accomplishment. It's hard. And I don't buy, by the way, this is just personal opinion. I see a lot of people say if there's a G6 or whatever playoff that's like going back to FCS. I mean, it's not. Those aren't FCS schools. They're not. We're not. It's not Wofford and Citadel and Murray State. I understand the argument that you don't want to have that, or not you personally, Charles, but other people. But this is who we are. Nothing's changed. We are still on the same level as the peers we joined, 12 years ago. And I mean, nothing has changed with that. It's just, we're just beholden to where the money's flowing, and the money doesn't really flow our way. And that's just
Right.
but that's always been true. So anyway, I think I'm done with that soapbox, but it is changing.
I hear you.
Things are changing.
Yeah. I'm curious about the format as a college football fan. Certainly, for someone like App, it just means like the stars have to align, perhaps even further. If it's whether it's no matter how many teams are in this format or in a new format, and if there's only one G5 bid, honestly, it hasn't really changed for us much, right? Because we're just trying to be the one, right?
Right.
But if you're going to go to 24, I think there's, you got to consider like a second G5 if they clear certain hurdles that have to be met, such as you can't just go and be a Liberty, right? And that's about it. And that's an example, but it's a team that went 12-0 against poor competition. You can't just be like, hey, we beat, Missouri State and Jacksonville State and Delaware, and like we had one prominent victory over Ohio. That was our big game. Like it's not going to get you into a 2014 field. But if you are lucky enough to have a schedule that aligns where you play, let's say, like our schedule this year, like if you have the opportunity to go play like East Carolina and NC State and Charlotte, and throw an FCS in there, and then you like run, let's say you go 11-1, and like you lose to like Old Dominion, that's going to hurt. But like, is going 11-1 and losing Old Dominion better or worse than going 11-1 and losing to like East Carolina? Like, you kind of, I think it actually helps you better to beat the good team and drop a tough one somewhere in the conference slate than it does to, go 8-0 and then like don't win enough of the like games that like can build your resume, like we were talking about in baseball. Those non-conference games, that's your resume builders. You're stuck in a conference, you can only play who they schedule you. It's those other 4 games. Who do you schedule? And if you schedule 2 FCSs and then like UMass and UConn, then like it's probably not going to get you an invitation to the big boy table. But if you luck out and you have a big game on your schedule where you get paid big money and you go beat like a like a Vanderbilt, and then you play somebody else somewhere, along those lines. And like, yeah, there should be something to be said for that. So the resume should matter a little bit. And I think, whatever those hurdles might be, they need to be spelled out clearly. Like this will get you into the conversation, but I can't I'm not really on board with there's only going to be one. I can say, well, maybe some years there should be three, maybe some years like a certain conference just isn't good except for like 2 teams. And when you have 16 teams, and let's say Alabama and Georgia are the cream of the crop of the SEC, but the third place SEC team went 8-5. Like, is that a good SEC team? Like,
yeah,
who'd they lose to? Like, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
Well, but you know what's great, what the most frustrating, and you're talking about what's happening right now and how things are selected. Like that's what's happening, and that's what those are the conversations that people need to have and think about as they kind of analyze the current state. But what really frustrates me about especially in football, but in basketball too, like Bruce Pearl getting up there saying that Miami didn't deserve to get over Auburn or whatever. Sports is like the ultimate like meritocracy. There's a scoreboard, we keep time, we have refs. If you win, you lose, and there's just no arguing. Like, we beat you, you lost, now we're here, now you're here. But when you get to the end of it and people start arbitrarily inserting like, well, this, well, that's the antithesis of sports to me. And that's why, like, if I had the keys of the kingdom, it would be conference champions go on and play. So you need to you need to double your number of conferences by cutting membership in half. You win a conference championship, right? You go to the playoff. There's no more discussion. You go to the playoff. There's no, well, who did this and who, and I think that's why I do favor just going splitting it all up, is because you're right. You can make a case that, well, that team deserves this, but all this arbitrary committees and just human opinion that doesn't have anything to do with hard, cold, like, we faced you, we beat you, now we're going here. To me, that's how sports is decided. And that's where pro sports are perfect in that way. There is no arbitrary thing about pro sports. It's, we beat you in the regular season. Now we have this position in the division. Now we go to the playoffs. And even with these play-ins, the play-ins are based on your standings. So like, all right, we weren't arbitrarily picked because we had no, we played, made it to the playoffs. Now we're here because of the games we won and lost. And like, that's my least favorite thing about college football, is when committees get together and people start inserting and it's not that everybody has bad points. Not everybody can have good points, but that is just not, that's the opposite of what sports actually is. Sports is about competition and winning and losing, but we don't let it's too much noise and all that stuff. So, at the end of the day, we're going to hear the same stuff. Well, Jamie, you shouldn't be in it because of X, Y, and Z, or Tennessee, they lost an early one, but all of it's arbitrary, all of it's silly. None of it's decided on the field. It's people in boardrooms and thinking about who's going to draw the eyeballs. And how are you going to build programs? How are you going to build stories? How are you going to build legacies if you're not allowed to organically allow upsets to happen? And if you're not allowed to just teams duke it out, figure it out, and how do you know that? It's like what we used to talk about on here all the time about being ranked. It's easier to rank somebody if you've seen them ranked before, so you give teams a chance to compete and become that program with a reputation. But making points about why Notre Dame, well, when they played in Miami and on September 27th, they only gave up this many yards per blah, 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 and they only lost by 12. That one lost, blah, 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 blah. How many games you win? You beat them, blah, blah. Are you champion? All right, you go play in the playoffs. That's where the pros have college beat every time. There's no ambiguity about champions. It is what the Seahawks are the champs. They beat everybody they needed to beat to win the Super Bowl. And I think Indiana would have done that anyway. I mean, I'm not saying Indiana is a false champion, but bunch of mess, man. I got back on another soapbox. I don't know what's wrong with me, but
I got you back on it.
I got back on it. I think we're done this week. I think we did a good job extending this episode.
And I think the internet came back around too.
Yeah, I think it did. Yeah, maybe the rain let up a little bit.
Who knows?
But is there anything else, I guess, Charles, that we need to touch on before we tap out for next week?
Go to the games this weekend. I know graduation is maybe a hindrance, and it's there's lots of other kid stuff and stuff going. If you have the time, come on up. It's these guys deserve it. They played hard, especially down the stretch, and um, who knows what could happen with these guys. You don't want to be the one left on the outside saying, "I didn't go watch them play once."
That's right.
Go get some merch. It's only fresh
That's right.
this year.
That's right. I like it. All right, everybody. Thanks to our sponsor, Moonshine Brewing Company, for sponsoring the show. And until next week, go Apps.